Brought to you by Penguin. Regency Buck by Georgette Heyer. Read by Jasmine Blackborow. Chapter 1. Newark was left behind, and the post-chaise and four entered on a stretch of flat country which offered little to attract the eye or occasion remark. Miss Taverner withdrew her gaze from the landscape and addressed her companion, a fair youth who was lounging in his corner of the chaise, somewhat sleepily surveying the back of the nearest postboy. "How tedious it is to be sitting still for so many hours at a stretch," she remarked. "When do we reach Grantham, Perry?" Her brother yawned. "Lord, I don't know. It was you who would go to London." Miss Taverner made no reply to this, but picked up a traveller's guide from the seat beside her and began to flutter the leaves over. Young Sir Peregrine yawned again and observed that the new pair of wheelers, put in at Newark, were good-sized, strengthy beasts, very different from the last pair, which had both of them been touched in the wind. Miss Taverner was deep in the traveller's guide and agreed to this without raising her eyes from the closely printed page. She was a fine young woman, rather above the average height, and had been used for the past 4 years to hearing herself proclaimed a remarkably handsome girl. She could not, however, admire her own beauty, which was of a type she was inclined to despise. She had rather have had black hair. She thought the fairness of her gold curls insipid. Happily, her brows and lashes were dark, and her eyes, which were startlingly blue, in the manner of a wax doll, she once scornfully told her brother, had a directness and a fire which gave a great deal of character to her face. At first glance, one might write her down a mere Dresden china miss, but a second glance would inevitably discover the intelligence in her eyes and the decided air of resolution in the curve of her mouth. She was dressed neatly, but not in the first style of fashion, in a plain, round gown of French cambric, frilled round the neck with scalloped lace, and a close mantle of twilled sarcenet. A poke bonnet of basket willow with a striped velvet ribbon rather charmingly framed her face, and a pair of York tan gloves were drawn over her hands and buttoned tightly round her wrists. Her brother, who had resembled his slumberous scrutiny of the postboy's back, resembled her closely. His hair was more inclined to brown, and his eyes less deep in colour than hers, but he must always be known for her brother. He was a year younger than Miss Taverner, and, either from habit or carelessness, was very much in the habit of permitting her to order things as she chose. "It is 14 miles from Newark to Grantham," announced Miss Taverner, raising her eyes from the traveller's guide. "I had not thought it had been so far." She bent over the book again. "It says here, it is Kersley's entertaining guide, you know, which he procured for me in Scarborough, that it is a neat and populous town on the River Witham. It is supposed to have been a Roman station by the remains of a castle which have been dug up. I must say I should like to explore there if we have the time, Perry." "Oh, Lord, you know ruins always look the same," objected Sir Peregrine, digging his hands into the pockets of his buckskin breeches. "I tell you what it is, Judith. If you're set on poking about all the castles on the way, we shall be a full week on the road. I'm all for pushing forward to London." "Very well," submitted Miss Taverner, closing the traveller's guide and laying it on the seat. "We will bespeak an early breakfast at the George then, and you must tell them at what hour you will have the horses put to." "I thought we were to lie at the Angel," remarked Sir Peregrine. "No," replied his sister decidedly. "You have forgot the wretched account the Mincemans gave us of the comfort to be had there. It is the George, and I wrote to engage our rooms, on account of Mrs. Mincman warning me of the fuss and to-do she had once, when they would have had her go up 2 pairs of stairs to a miserable apartment at the back of the house." Sir Peregrine turned his head to grin amicably at her. "Well, I don't fancy they'll succeed in fobbing you off with a back-room Jew." "Certainly not," replied Miss
Sample complete. Ready to continue?